I'm your host, Carolyn Solo, LCSW, EMDR therapist, and mom of 3 daughters. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 152 of the Future Template Parent Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Carolyn Solo, PhD, LCSW, and today I want to talk a little bit about what it looks like to work with me in a one-to-one coaching container. I am still taking on a few one-to-one coaching clients, and this is an excerpt from a 90-minute coaching intensive, sort of a one-off that I did with Jessica. And the clip that I'm going to play for you is about, 23 minutes long. And it's sort of the two of us going through the structure for what I do on a 3-day intensive. Like, what do I do with the time? How do I use R-TEP? Some details there. Of course, it's very informal because I'm talking to her, and there may be little bits and pieces that seem a little out of context, but I hope in general you get the idea and you get a sense. Not only do you learn something about how I structure the time, but also you get a sense for how could I support you in coaching. Also, I just wanted to mention that you can still enter my free email challenge that is going to start on June 22nd. In the email challenge, it's all about networking. You're going to get prompts every day through email. It's completely free, where I'm going to help you start the networking process to get some intensive referrals rolling in, because I know this is a real pain point for a lot of people. Networking feels really hard and scary. And of course, if you have heard me talk about networking at all before, I do say it's a really essential part of your intensives marketing, I think. So the link for that is in the show notes to sign up. And starts on June 22nd, obviously goes through that's a Monday, goes through Friday, completely free. So getting back to the interview with Jessica, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it gives you something to think about. And I hope you join the email challenge, because I think it's going to be really valuable. This is the grounding techniques thing. And that is it. That's the workbook. So obviously you'll get copies of that and you can modify it however you see fit. When they've done the workbook, I review it. When they first come in, the first 1 to 2 hours tend to focus on going over the workbook, installing resources, checking resources, seeing, can they state change? Are they what's their capacity to handle affect, all that stuff. I use my own little version that I've created of R-TEP for structuring my intensives, and there's a document on that. And usually before the lunch break, I try to, and for most people this is possible, explain R-TEP, and then do the run the mental movie. Have you done an R-TEP training or something like it?
No, but I think I just intuitively do it. Whenever I start with a new client, I do a recent traumatic event that's like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, it's
traumatic, so that they can get a feel for it. Is that kind of the gist of it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But it's nothing that you can't do you don't have to go to a training for it. Let me just tell you. Okay. So what it is we're thinking about the episode that they're coming in for as a whole, right? Or whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be a specific thing. This is what I try to make clear to people. R-TEP, and this is what I learned in the training, basically just means whatever happened in the past is still impacting them in the present, which is literally everything. So you can use R-TEP for literally everything. And it's a really nice way to organize the intensive, and it makes it easier for me to kind of stay on track and to keep from we're not devolving too far into getting off what we're trying to do. And I would say that R-TEP is kind of between EMD and EMD little r, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the first thing you do with R-TEP is you say, okay, I want you to run a mental movie of what's brought you here, starting from the very beginning of whenever that happened. And I leave it very vague because I want them to interpret it. And I want you to all the way up until, sitting here in my office right now. Okay. And I tell them to make it 5 to 10 minutes, but it really depends on the person. Sometimes they'll sit there and really spend a lot of time thinking through it. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, I'm done. It really depends on the person. You can add You can add BLS at that point. I think when I wrote this, I said that I did. I've started not to do that. I tend to add BLS at the next step, which is then I have them verbalize the movie. Like they tell it to me, and they can do that with their
Hmm.
eyes open or closed. And then I will have them hold buzzers usually, because that starts to organize the narrative for them. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they'll even say like, "Oh, I'm already feeling a little bit better," or like, and it
Hmm.
helps you kind of mark down like, what do I think the target list is going to be?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the time of like, say, in this niche that I'm doing, like from the time that you had your emergency cesarean or like whatever was surrounding that
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
to now sitting here now,
Yeah.
think through the events.
What's the story that you have about that kind of?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And then how would I land on like what to start with? Is it
so
like,
that's the next step of R-TEP.
okay, sorry.
So you have, no, it's okay, it's okay. And it's funny, like I don't know why I wrote this here. Clearly I haven't edited this in an age, but like I should put this, I talk about this in phase two, I guess. Phase one and two are very overlappy, right? So you're doing all of this during like the first half of the first day. Um, so just so you know, with R-TEP, once you've done that, the next thing you do is you say, okay, go back and run the movie again. What's the first point you land on? And that's your first target. It doesn't have to be chronological. It doesn't have to be, it's just wherever their system goes first. And that's your first.
Right. Just like whatever's most energetically charged or interesting to them. That's what they go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the traditional like R-TEP structure is the first one chronologically, but I don't think that makes sense, so I don't do it. Here's where I talk a little bit about resourcing, like like this, how to do all this stuff, but I like go through it in detail just in case people are like, how do you install resources? And,
Hmm.
like once they've installed the resources, we like connect with a mildly distressing event and, reground. If they can do that, I'm like, okay, we can go ahead. And I say that like intensives have given me much more confidence that you can move ahead with processing quickly, that you don't need to stay in, like, how you talk to those new EMDR therapists and they're like, I like to spend 6 to 12 months on phases one and two. I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? What are you afraid of? Like, what's going on? You know?
Totally. Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
I said, like, I like to try to help clients identify resources that feel relevant. I had a client that was a first responder and he was out of work because of PTSD. I said, like, let's come up with a couple of moments when you felt really good at your job.
Hmm.
Like, when you
Hmm.
really, really, and let's install those.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that takes about, the first half of the first day. Then I say, like, we run the movie, start with the one that, with the most intensity or start first chronologically, whatever they want. If they're feeling really overwhelmed, I might try the ASSYST protocol, which is just a desensitization. Do you know the ASSYST protocol? I'll,
Mm-mm.
I'll send that to you. Let me just write down and I'll send that to you. It's again very simple. You can, if you,
There's so many. There's so many.
but here's the thing, right, that I have learned with EMDR is that they're all based in the same theoretical conceptualization. So if you
Right.
understand the AIP model, if you
Hmm.
understand bottom-up treatment, almost any protocol, you can read it and be like, oh, I can do this.
Hmm.
Like that's how I feel about it. So that's why I'm just like, I'll just give you the protocol that I have. Like I know I'm not supposed to, but I don't care. Like whatever. I don't think we should.
No gatekeeping.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
there's just like so many PDFs floating around on the internet that like,
Seriously. They're like
you know,
copyrighted, but like whatever. And what I often
totally.
do is I just rewrite them so that and I like bring my own spin on them. So I'm like, yeah, I'm still doing something that's mine. And
Yeah,
honestly, I don't give a shit if someone gives one of my PDFs to somebody else. Like, go ahead. Like, what am I gonna do? Chase you down? You know?
totally.
So
Totally.
anyway, so I'll send you the assist protocol too. Um,
Okay.
so this is just like ways to assess. I talk about how I don't always find it necessary to ask all the questions in standard protocol. You just want them to be
Hmm.
connected so you can go into it, blah, blah, blah. I don't often ask for a positive cognition during assessment because I think that takes people out of the experience.
Oh my God, it's just so complicated to explain as well. I'm
And the
like,
voc, they're like, what the hell is that? Why is there a 10 and a 7? Like, it's silly, right?
yeah,
It's important that they can connect with body awareness and distress level, right? So if I'm noticing they can't access a felt sense of distress,
yeah.
then we might need to do some exercises there. And that
So
might
when you
do
said
it.
R-TEPs between EMD and EMD little r, doesn't one of them not have body? in it?
EMD doesn't have
Body
you're just
scans or
always
something?
returning to target like every single
Okay.
set, and you're not I think it still does have body, does it not? Well, the
I
thing about
remember.
R-TEP, well, R-TEP, you don't
Mm.
technically have to do the body scan until the very end.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But for me, the thing about EMD is desensitization, and there isn't the reprocessing. So maybe you're not using, maybe there isn't the installation of a positive cognition.
Right. Okay.
But
And then they just recently changed the names for all of these things too,
did
didn't they?
they? Oh my God,
My
great.
consultant was like, they don't call it EMD little r and blah 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 anymore. I'm like, I don't even want to know.
Like,
I
who
don't want to
cares?
know. Don't
The
tell
only
me.
reason I say that is like shorthand because I know people like learn that. I'm like, so basically it's pretty contained processing is the idea, right?
Okay, got it.
That's what
So
that
you're
is.
looping back to
Yeah.
the original touch point.
Yeah. If you notice
Okay.
that things are like getting a little bit far, you're like, let's contain that. Like, let's make a note of that. That might be something you work on with your other therapist, la la la. We're here for a specific reason, whatever.
Uh, okay,
Um,
got it.
if a client can't connect to their body at all, this may be a sign that they're very dissociative. You haven't got that yet. Phase four follows the same procedure. Da, 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 da. A target memory could be processed within the first hour or it may take 2 days. That's unusual. If processing is stalling, you need to think about some other stuff. Interweaves. Um, I have a lot of this, like, I'll just send you all my whole like document library and you can decide what you want to use. Like I've made, like, I'll just show you so you have a sense of like what I'm talking about. Um, Wait, can you see this new thing or are you still on the other one?
Still on the other one.
Okay, so let me just shift what I'm sharing here. Okay, so this is like all the documents that I use for the course. I'll send them all to you and you can use what you want and throw away what you don't want. Oops. But in the marketing tools, some of the stuff I'm already showing you, but like a bunch of different whatevers. There's that. Workbook exercise, you don't need, I won't send you those. That's for people that are doing like the course. It's not really that crucial. You probably don't need the good faith estimate because that's a US thing.
What is that?
Um, it was a thing that it was a law that was passed like maybe 2023 that said that this is for all medical services, and this is because our insurance system is so fucked up, that if you are offering a service that's not covered by insurance, or there's going to be a large portion of it that's not covered by insurance, you have to give them an estimate of what they're going to be paying when they
Mm.
initially start working with you. And if there's more than a $400 discrepancy, you can get fined and they can dispute it. So
Oh,
yeah, so I
bless
have one that's
America.
like, yeah, exactly. That's rewritten for like an intensive. So that's that.
Okay.
Um, this you don't need. That's something else. Oh, and then the clinical tools. There should be more. There's more of these that I need to update that are not in here. But um, this is what we're looking at right now.
Oh, cool. Okay.
R-TEP, how I use conference table, IFS informed parts work, what I call encouragement interweaves. This is ASSYST. And there's a couple other ones that I have that I maybe haven't written up yet. But yeah, so I'll send you all this stuff. This is just like my cheat
Okay.
sheets for like, don't take this course.
Awesome.
This is how you can use this.
So, so with the intensives, it's an R-TEP base then. We're
Yeah.
always staying with like the thing that happened and then to
Yeah.
recent. Like there's no going back to like when there's no words or anything like that.
I mean, you might have to. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. You certainly can. Like, none of this is set in stone. There's
Mm-hmm.
tons of opportunities for creativity. If you decide that that feels like a really good use of your time, do that. You can, and that can almost be like an interweave where you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like right now we should go here. Let's do a little bit of this and see what we notice.
Okay, cool. But like, I mean, it sounds like you're really getting in and getting out. Like not quick and dirty because it's an intensive, but like needing to keep the focus.
Right. You want them to come leave having gotten what they think they're coming in for, right?
Yeah.
Okay, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I mean, body's kind of phase 7. Okay, so this is like, I talk about, making sure you're using a phase 7 at the end of each day, right? And at the end of the whole entire thing. And I like to leave like 15 to 20 minutes at the end of each day, some closure ritual. We review a little bit, talk about how they can care for themselves, talk about the workbook. And then if we're done, I like to do like a longer closure ritual, discuss next steps. If I feel like wait, I need to reorder this. This sounds like this is what I'm talking about here is on a day, if you have another intensive day. If you have at least 30 to 45 minutes left and you finish something, you could start something else if you want to, or, you know, you don't have to. I need to rewrite this a little. It's kind of unclear.
But
Faith,
every day of the intensive, you're doing some kind of like
yeah,
containing and closure.
yeah. And then at the first day, or when they come back, you're always doing a little phase 8, right? Like, how did you feel? How did you care for yourself? What resources did you use? What came up?
Hmm.
Blah, blah, blah. And they have the workbook, so you can like use that to help you.
Hmm.
I will check in on previous targets if I want to. I don't always do that, but sometimes. And if we have an incomplete target, certainly we're just going to go right there. Uh, See if anything has shifted. And then you just keep going, right? And then again, I haven't updated this. Um, Now what I do is I have set up a call or either over phone or virtually and out like 4 weeks out. And we use the workbook and right. We check in with their providers. Yeah. So that's basically the structure. And then a little bit more about R-TEP. Blah 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 blah. You don't need to. I'll do like the quick and dirty, right?
And
So,
is this something just for me, or do I give this to the
oh, this is for
client?
you. I don't think
Okay, okay. I
they would
was gonna
want all
say,
this information.
okay, great.
You could explain it to them like briefly, like here's how we're gonna do
Yeah,
it. But like,
people don't
um,
care, is what
no,
I've
they
come to
don't.
realize. People don't care. They're like, I just want the
They don't.
result. I don't want
Right.
to hear how you do it.
So here's the quick and dirty, right? First, I added something that is not in here. First, I have them just run it in their heads, right? Then I have them tell it with the BLS, right? Then we do Google search or run the movie. And what's the first, what they call the point of disturbance? They don't use the word target because you don't install completely at the end of each point of disturbance. You do that at the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, and so if you get the SUD down to whatever, you are going to do phase 5, okay? But you don't do body scan, which is kind of stupid. I will sometimes, if I've noticed a somatic shift in them, I will check in with that. This is just, I don't know why. I think they're just worried that they're going to be like, oh, I still feel a little distressed because there's still stuff there. But I think it's worth,
Yeah.
if you notice that, like, wow, it seems like your shoulders really dropped. Like, what are you noticing in your body?
And honestly, this is what I'm learning so much about in Hakomi because it is like it's a pure somatic therapy, but they do it all through keeping people in the subconscious through naming what you're witnessing. And I notice I've been doing that with my clients in EMDR instead of asking them, like, what are you feeling in your body right now? Naming it for them, like, I noticed you sat back, or I noticed that your jaw softened, I noticed your energy shift. And then they don't have to like bump up into their like prefrontal
Totally.
cortex to think about what's happening.
Yeah,
And it has been a game changer for my clients to
I love
stay
that.
in the process. It's
And
huge.
it's helping them develop that skill of noticing it, because
Yeah.
you're naming it and they're like, oh yeah. Because so many people you say, what are you noticing in your body? They're like, I've never done
They're
that
like,
before. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, exactly. So this I love that actually.
it's great.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically once you've done, gotten the SUD to be ecological 0 or whatever you want. And sometimes I just will say, like, even if, because those numbers are so dumb. If someone's like, well, it's like a 3, but I get this sense that they're kind of done with it for now. I'll say, like, do you feel ready to move on from this right now? And they'll be like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let's go to the next one. Like, who cares? You know? And then you just repeat steps 2 to 5 for as many points of disturbance as you can get through. You might get through all of them in the intensive, you might not. And if you get to and then obviously strong closure at the end of each session. And if you get through all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You say, like, let's run them, like, what's the SUD for the entire experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you're going to install the entire experience PC. You're going to do the body scan for the entire experience, closure, follow up, right? I rarely get
I
through all of
see.
them, but I do this anyway, even if we haven't gotten through all of them.
So when they're running the movie and you get them to like verbalize the movie for you, you're kind of like writing down the like points,
Yeah.
targets. And then at the end, after hopefully you get to the end, that's when you're doing like the positive cognition stuff.
Yeah. You do install a positive cognition for each. You can. Again, like, this is really up to you. If you feel like it's worth it, if you feel like there's one that's emerged, do it. If you don't, you can move on. Like,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would still run it the whole, if we're like nearing the end and I don't feel like we should start a new target, I'll say, like, let's run the movie and check how it's feeling now, right? Is there a positive belief that's coming up? Do you want to install that now? And something else I'll say too is, if you do that, if you feel like you've come to a good stopping point, maybe like at lunchtime of the third day, future template is a great thing to do in the second half. Present day triggers is a great thing to do. And for you, future template would be amazing because they're like
Mm-hmm.
anticipating this event, right? So I would think that maybe
Mm-hmm.
that should always be part of your approach. So there's a lot of stuff you can do if you feel like you have time left over. You can do resourcing. Like, there's so many things you could do during that time, you know?
Yeah.
So I would never
Yeah.
like, I never feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this time, we haven't used it. Like, you could talk about, like, what are the next goals they have for therapy? How might they, there's so much stuff you can do with that time. So I wouldn't panic about that. Some people are like, what do I do if we run out of stuff to do? I'm like, you won't run out of stuff to do if you are good at what you do. I mean, I don't say that, but like, you don't have to run out of stuff to do. Something
Right.
to say is, if you have a client who really has a lot of affect intolerance and you're like, oh, I don't know how much processing is going to be possible right now, I would lean heavily into doing a lot of parts work.
Okay.
And part of what I think is great about that is that there's elements of trauma processing in parts work, right? They're talking about these wounds, like, the exiles, if you want to use IFS language, right? They're unburdening. That's trauma processing. You can even add BLS.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a positive cognition that emerges, you can install that. And so you could do that if you're feeling like, okay, maybe the actual phase 4 is going to be really intense for this person. You can do that. Um, do you know the CIPOS protocol, Jim Knipe?
Oh, I know Jim Knipe. I'm not sure I know like what that protocol is.
I'll send it to you. It's another, like, it's like ASSYST. It's like a way to reduce distress if they're not ready for full processing and if they need a lot of grounding. That's another thing you can do. So there's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's very simple. Again, I'll just send it to you. You don't need to take a training on it.
Great. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
my trainer and my consultant previously was basically trained and worked along Jim Knipe, and so I feel like I essentially got trained by him.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so just all that to say that, like, if you're sensing, like, if you run the movie and they get like super dysregulated,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, we need to slow down. That's fine. You still have plenty of stuff you can do. You could do parts work for 3 days, and that would be incredibly valuable, you know?
Yeah.
So don't panic if that happens, you
Okay.
know? Um,
Yeah.
so just that's something to always remember, because that's a question I get a lot, is like, what if the person just can't handle phase 4? Like, first of all, let's assess whether or not that's really true, or if your stuff is coming up, you know?
Yeah. Or you
And
just need to keep it more contained.
you need to keep it more contained. There's a lot of things you can do that are still super valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And you can test a little, like CIPOS kind of tests like it's like you dip into a target for like 5 seconds, come out and do a lot of grounding. That's a
Mm.
way that you can build affect tolerance and like test, like, are they really not able to do this? Or am I just afraid that they're not able to do this?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I hope hearing that was useful to you and you got some little gems to take for yourself on how to structure a 3-day intensive, and a little bit about how I use R-TEP and sort of how I've sort of created my own little R-TEP blend, as it were. It's not exactly the way maybe you learned it in your training, but I take a little of this, a little of that, and this is something that works well for me. So hopefully that was useful for you. And again, just a reminder, the 5-day free email challenge starts June 22nd. The link is in the show notes to sign up. Certainly send me an email or a DM if you have any questions about it, want to know more. And thank you, as always, for talking and spending some time with me. And I'm really excited for next week's episode. I'm interviewing Carly Costello, whom many of you know as EMDR with Carly on Instagram. We had a really lovely chat about all things EMDR, EMDR consulting, business building, and business building along with motherhood. So don't miss that. Talk to you all soon. Bye.